In the previous video, we went through how I animated every single VFX in the game by hand. And with the VFX finally done, I could now finally release a gameplay demo to my patrons. For those who don't know, this is a game about an early character concept that battles other scrap versions of itself so it can evolve and develop into the protagonist of my other game, which you might already know of. And this will be coming out in 2026. Now, I actually had released the gameplay demo before this, however this one was the most pivotal one as this build was essentially me getting player feedback on essentially the full package of everything you'll be able to do as a player in the game. I dropped this so I could see how the average player would experience and navigate their way and to see what kind of playstyles they'd gravitate towards, how intuitive the gameplay is, and how difficult the game actually is to a wider audience and how they naturally try to overcome those difficulties. This was important since obviously as a developer, especially a solo developer, you are obviously going to be the best at your game. The game is going to be perfect for you, but as a solo dev you have to remember that once it becomes a project you intend for other people to play en masse, then their opinions and comfort levels are very crucial to the design choices you make. Now the crucial thing to understand here is that doesn't automatically mean just capitulate to everything they suggest, because at the end of the day you're not trying to make a game that they like, you're trying to make them like your game. That's a very crucial distinction. So instead it is your responsibility as a developer to make whatever you've made from your vision feel as fun and as rewarding and as enjoyable as possible from their perspective. So you have to listen to your audience and think surgically on how you're going to extract what they've suggested, because they will suggest things that completely change the idea of your game and you know they don't have your vision, so this is natural, but you have to extract the core pain points of the things that they experienced when playing your game and solve them in the parameters of what you are ultimately trying to achieve. Now this is a topic for another video, but yeah, this in my almost 7 years of experience is the best way you balance your vision with player feedback. I learned this the most when I shipped Soul Survivor last year and ended up making something that people actually really enjoyed from these principles, which led this game to become number 13 top selling paid game on itch back in September 2025. And side note, if you want to quickly and easily learn how I've made games like this, I have dropped a free tutorial course for you, my friend. More videos will be coming soon, but these 9 videos are all you need to get you up and running from a complete beginner, and the link to that is in my bio. So regarding feedback, I had to use all that knowledge which I learned when I released Soul Survivor, and I once again had to use that knowledge here in this game. Now the main feedback I received from those who played the demo build was that the game is good and satisfying to play, but only if you're already pretty good at playing it. Therefore the game needs to be easier, the player needs more health, the enemies need to die quicker, etc. And yeah, obviously I can't have any of those suggestions at face value actually happen, since if the enemy is that easy to defeat with just the base combo, what is the point of even using any of the other mechanics that I've made? And I need the player to use them, because those secondary gameplay mechanics and the other ways of playing and outsmarting the enemy are almost exclusively what make the game what this game is, and what make it enjoyable once you actually get good at doing it. Therefore, after a lot of reflection and planning, it clicked. I needed to dramatically scale down the skill gap between a first-time player and what would be a pro at the game. Therefore, when I make the tutorial section of the game, which was the next step, I couldn't just have it tell the players what to press and just be done with it. But instead, I would need to wholly train the player to use what to press in the way that you're supposed to play the game, step by step, and let them get used to this playstyle each step of the way. And I would also need to find some way to gamify the entire process so it doesn't feel like you're just going through a long, boring manual on how to play the game. On top of that, I also made some things easier to understand, like when players would be vulnerable, which happens after you get their health down below 30% and allows you to defeat enemies without having to outsmart them and open them first. However, every new thing that I had to add to make the game easier to be able to quickly understand, I knew that I would ultimately have to make a section for in the tutorial parts of the game. So with this, I knew I had quite a bit of rewriting to do, because I did have something originally planned, but there was no way I could get around having to ultimately redo it to accommodate for the feedback I received, since if I was able to sort this game would be mint. Thus, that is the approach that I went with going into the next task, which was to make the tutorial section of the game, and in the next video, we'll look at how I tackled that. Peace.